4 years ago. I'm 33. I've got $5,000 to my name. That is my life savings. And right now I'm $30,000 in debt. I'm like finding bargain sandwiches and debating like I can't do $7. I got to find $5. Like I'm counting every penny. And I realize this homeless man is worth more than me right now. Every time I've hit rock bottom, it has been the catalyst for meaningful, successful change. I have constantly been hitting rock bottom in whatever areas and figuring out how to get over it. And what I realized is these are things that about only 3% of the world kind of does.
What is happening, folks? Welcome to another episode Unfiltered Bachelor. I'm your Unfiltered Bachelor, Blake Money Blakeweather. Hi, how's everybody doing out in podcast land? Hopefully you're doing great. You're doing wonderful. Having a great end to your summer, whatever it is you're doing. I don't know, and I won't judge you. But you know what? Hopefully you're doing great. My guest today is another owner and also coach from Modern Nation. We just had Dale Valor on, and shout outs to Dale Valor for connecting me with the community. And then as soon as I connect the community, I can connect with you. It's Jared Psych Laurence. Jared, how you doing, baby?
Good. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm actually I'm doing great. I'm all like caffeined up. I got my cold brew here.
Nice.
I'm a basic bitch. What can I say? But I'm very excited because of how much I've sort of dived into your material. One, and then two, again, the Dale Valor connection. Dale's completely awesome. And if everybody hasn't seen that episode, don't watch it right now. Watch this episode and then go back and watch that one. But the Steve Maeda connection, which I couldn't have better things to say about Steve. He's come on the podcast before. I've gone to some of his men's meetups as I was trying to learn a little bit more about him. I was in my phase of dating, so sort of figuring out what that community is like. So it just feels like a lot of connections. And like I said, the world is small. The circle of men's coaches is even smaller. So for all those reasons, I'm super excited to have you on, man. I want to.
Oh yeah.
Perfect, man. I want to start from the beginning because I think that's always a good place to start with a story, right? I mean, anybody who watches Deadpool, you're probably wondering how I got here, right? And I am probably wondering how you got here. Where and when did you get started in this? First of all, you're now a men's success coach.
Right.
But
so I started as a dating coach, and now
right.
it's Modern Flirting, and now Modern Flirting is dead. Sad, rest in peace. Now we are Modern Success because dating and flirting doesn't do us justice anymore. We're helping guys make more money than they've ever made in their life. We're helping guys get in the best shape they've ever got in their life. We're helping them with inner game and happiness, aka Dale. You know, he's one of our top G's. So we really kind of taken the next step. Me and my team. It's not just me at this point. I've got about 8 different coaches now doing this stuff, and so Modern Flirting never did justice. So we're no longer dating coaches. We're basically men's success coach.
But you started off in that space, right? Like so long ago.
So long ago. I got a lot of stuff. Like here's I'll Tarantino it. I'll try to put it all together and wrap this all this my life tapestry here. So about 16 years ago, I'm bawling. No, more than 16 years ago. 17, 18, something like that years ago. Okay. I am just bawling my eyes out because my entire life.
I thought you meant like I'm balling, and I was like, balling. This is going. And then you said that, and I was like, oh wait, this went completely different way. This is Tarantino. No. Let's go.
18 years ago, I am bawling my eyes out. I'm crying into my pillow because my entire life I have been bullied and rejected by not just women but people in general. I had like 2 friends going through high school. I remember going to my first, high school party, and the girl looking to my friend and one of 2 friends and being like, who the hell invited Jared? Right in front of my face, right? I remember my one and only girlfriend for a year and a half that I was saving myself from marriage with, cheating on me with some guy 8 years older than her, and breaking this whole thing up. I was literally waiting for marriage with my virginity. And the reason I'm bawling 18 years ago is because after all of this, I just got done with my prom night. And
Wow.
and I was lucky enough to have a date on prom because the last week I was furiously messaging every girl I could find on MySpace because I'm old. And I found one, right? And I took her to prom with me. And I was lucky enough to have her. I was unlucky enough to walk into the bathroom at the end of that night and catch her having sex with another man.
Oh, wow.
And I was devastated. I'm still a virgin at this point.
Right.
I thought tonight was going to be the night.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't understand what is wrong with me that couldn't be fixed. Even when I went to college, which my dad was like, oh, everything changes. College, you find yourself. I decided to try to rush a fraternity. And of all the pledges that got hazed and messed with and picked on, at the end of the pledging, I was the only one that one of the brothers, the head guy, said, hey, we just don't think it's going to be a good fit. Sorry, we don't think this is going to be. I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
Fast forward to just 4 years ago, right? I'm working as a coach for some other company that's going downhill. I'm making like $1,500, $2K a month full time. I'm barely able to afford rent, right?
Right.
I look at my situation and I realize I'm 33. Mm-hmm. I've got $5,000 to my name. That is my life savings. And right now I'm $30,000 in debt. Like something needs to change. I'm like finding bargain sandwiches and debating like I can't do $7. I got to find $5. Like I'm counting every penny and realizing this is not good. I looked at a homeless guy. I lived in San Diego this time, and I realized this homeless man is worth more than me right now. Even though I'm the party guy, I'm the guy who gets all these women. He's worth more than me. 2 years ago, I go to Tulum with my friend, supposed to party it up and look good. I take all these photos. I'm embarrassed to take a photo from the waist down, from the chest down, because I'm the fattest I've ever been in my life. I'm clinically obese.
Whoa.
I'm about 28% body fat. And I'm just like, I'm miserable. I'm in chronic back pain. I'm supposed to be this amazing guy, whatever, this guru, this guy people look up to. And I feel disgusting to the point I'm ashamed to even take pictures while I'm not supposed to be having the time of my life. And I have to make a change, right?
Yeah.
Every single time this has happened, it's been the best fucking thing in my life. Because every time I've hit rock bottom, it has been the catalyst for meaningful, successful change. 18 years ago, I decided enough's enough. I studied psychology. I approached every girl out there, got rejected a million fucking times. I tweaked everything. I became friends with the top seducers in the world. Steve Maeda, was one of them.
Right.
And I figured it the fuck out. When I was dead ass broke and a homeless guy was worth more than me, I quit my job. I had $5,000 in my name. I gave 4,000 of it to a business mentor because my thinking was, look, it's going to be a slow death. I'm going to work at a Starbucks. I'm basically done. Like this is meaningless at this point. $5,000 is meaningless. If this business guy, I'm going to take my Hail Mary shot. I'm going to pay this mentor $4,000 out of my 5 that I have, and I'm 30K in debt. I'm going to figure this out. Whoever can help me do it. And it was one of the best decisions of my life. And it started my entrepreneur journey, which 4 months from that day, I became a 6-figure business. 3 years from that day, I became a 7-figure business.
Wow.
2 years ago, I'm like, enough's enough. I found the best fitness coach for entrepreneurs, for guys who sit at the desk all the time. And I'm like, yo, make me your best case study. Let's go. Still working. I'm not exactly where I want to be just yet. But I'm miles above. I went from 26, 28%, let's say 27% body fat to 15%.
Wow.
And all within these, 2 years. And not only was I able to get it off, I've been keeping it off, which is a whole nother thing no one fucking talks about. Everybody talks about the diet losing it. Keeping it is arguably harder in a weird fucking way.
It makes sense to me. I'm a huge MMA fan. I used to actually do an MMA podcast, huge boxing fan. And I think one of the things, to your point, right, that's like not talked about, it's like, it's good to be the champion, but what's hardest is keeping the belt. Yes. You got to staying at the top is almost probably way more harder than just getting. Anybody can get there. A lot of people get there. How many people are still the champion after XYZ amount of years. So that completely makes sense.
Yep. So
Man.
through that journey, I have constantly been hitting rock bottom in whatever areas and figuring out how to get over it. And what I realized is these are things that about only 3% of the world kind of does. The average man is 97% guy, right? And we see this trend everywhere.
Yeah.
Hypergamy with women, they'll say something like 20% of the guys get 80% of the women. I'd say the 3% of men get 95% of the women or 99% of the women, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the 3% is the ultimate, the hypergamy. Like the very, very few men get all the women.
Right.
90% of the wealth in the world is owned by the top 3%.
Right. Yes.
Men with 10% body fat, you're in the top 3% of men. We see this trend, this 3% trend again and again and again with success. And that's because we put ourselves in an environment with unsuccessful people. We listen to mom and dad. We listen to our pot stoner, gamer friends. Nothing wrong with gamer, but whatever. But we get the wrong information. And what it's like is walking into a room where there's 100 violins, people playing 100 violins. 97 of them are fucking screeching away. 3 of them are playing Mozart. You know how hard it is to hear Mozart? But we're here. The one bonus successful people have is a platform. The guy working at Starbucks is not getting interviewed by you in a podcast. They don't get that. Right. So people watching this podcast get to hear other successful men and other podcasts and other YouTube, right? Like look at Gary Vee, Greg Cardone, Alex Hormozi, business, whatever. They've got a platform. They've got a following. Yes. Walmart John doesn't. So that is the kicker is why don't you listen to people who are further ahead than you on the things you want? And that's what I did with Modern Success. I collected the most, I'm going to curse, the most amazing fucking.
You can curse.
The best dope shit, whatever, coaches of all time in all walks of life, from inner growth, online thinking, social circle building. I don't have one, I have 2 8-figure CEOs. They make $1 million a month.
Wow.
In my program, teaching our guys every week how to start and grow a business. I've got the head real estate developer for Bang Energy, teaching our guys. I mean, I've got Michelle, who she organizes the schedule of a billionaire with a B and teaches our guys time management and peak performance. This has nothing to do with dating anymore, right? But we believe it's a plus, but it's a big plus because we have a fitness expert, a guy who helped me lose all the weight for fitness and biohacking. We believe if you want to get a 10, you have to be a 10. And that doesn't just mean looks and money. I know a lot of guys are like, oh, all women care about is looks and money. Just get rich and it's easy. That's bull fucking shit, all right?
Right.
You have no idea how many like millionaires come to my program and like ask for help. I see too much evidence to say the only people who think it's all about money, shocker, are the guys without money and they're using it as an excuse. Yes. I was a broke ass fat guy getting lots of women using social skills. And I get guys who are tall and good looking. I have the testimonials. I have it. Like one of my testimonials, guys look like Ryan Gosling. People are like, what the fuck? Did you coach Ryan Gosling? He looks just like him. And they're like, what the hell? Why does this guy need help? I have tall, good looking guys with a lot of money coming to us. And you know how messed up it is for them? Because everyone in society is like, oh, you're good looking and rich. You should have no problem.
Right.
That matters. And now they're like, but I do have a problem. So how shitty should I feel now? How bad am I that I have everything a woman wants and they still don't want me? And that's because it's the creatine. It's not the gym. Does it help? Yes. Is it the key thing that's going to get you the girl? No.
No.
The skill set is going to do that for you.
Damn, man. That's an actual like truth. There's so many friends of mine that I've bumped into, especially in my dating heyday, right? And I'd be like, oh, and I was doing this podcast and talking about like stories and stuff. And I have friends that, again, to your point, right? Like taller, or like, I'm like, bro, you're an Abercrombie model. What are you talking about? You're not successful. What do you mean? And it is just that sort of dynamic of like either not having the social skills, or I think one of the, probably my theory of like what the answer is like, Dave Valor calls it inner game. Some people call it shadow work, but I believe it is just those inner pieces of you that like are just broken, and nobody shows you, tells you. They don't teach it in school. How to one, how to identify those pieces, and two, how to fix those pieces about you. And these are the things that, right, like are talked about like in, therapy or whatever sort of, like the book Attracted or Wired for Love, right? Things that talk about like who you are and grew up as at the core of you, that even when you get put into, say, if you're broken on the inside, but you grow up and become like a 10 on the outside, you're still fucked up and you're still messed up. And no matter what happens on the outside, like you will, if you don't believe it, the world can see it, but if you don't believe it, then what's the point of it, right? Like it doesn't, nothing matters. Nothing that you teach somebody like that, it's going to matter. None of the tools, none of the tips, none of the anything is going to matter at the end of the day, because I just didn't believe, like, I can't believe in it if I don't believe in myself.
I like that definition, because a lot of people look at, therapy, journaling, meditation, The Secret, manifestation, and like this will be the end all be all. I do that. I'm like, no, it is the fundamental, it's the groundwork, but it's not the end. It's the start, not the finish. And that's where a lot of people get it wrong, right? Mm-hmm. I love what you said before, if you don't have the right mindset and belief system, you can learn all the best tips, you can learn everything, and you're still going to suck, because you are perpetuating it. You are doing self-fulfilling prophecy, self-sabotage. So you have to have the right, I call it map. You need the right map, mindsets to actions to processes in that order. You have to have the right mindset to take the right actions, to then fail with those actions and then tweak your processes. People put processes first. These are the perfectionists. Nothing ever gets fucking done. People put action before mindset. These are our shooting stars. They're go, 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 but they quickly go, I'm a loser, and they self-sabotage.
Fizzle out, yeah.
You have to get the map, mindset, action, processes. I don't like the camp, and Dale knows this. All right, Dale's our inner game guy. He helps our guys' mind right, but even he knows this, is you can have the best belief system in the world, but if you're a creepy, weird fuck, I don't care how confident you are, you're still a creepy weird fuck.
Right.
You're authentic. People are like, I'm being authentic and genuine. Congrats. You're an authentic.
Then you're an authentic creep. Yeah.
You're genuinely creepy. It doesn't matter, right? You still have to learn what works. So the whole debate of like, it's all about looks and money. Look, you're Money Blake, right? So I'm assuming you know a thing or two about business, right? I would imagine, right?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit. I'm sure you've seen plenty of amazing products or services, whether they're coaches, whether they're a product, that are great, and they can't do business. They're just failing because they don't know how to market, they don't know how to sell, they don't know how to get their shit out. You're like, how are you not a millionaire? How are you not? And it's like, yes, you're so good. And it's like, but you're not making anything. And then the opposite is true. You'll see this like piece of shit service or product where like, yo, these guys are garbage, yet they're like an 8-figure company. And you're like, yeah, because their marketing is so good and their copy, copy is so good. And the videography is so, like, everything's so money. But then when you get to the service, you're like, this is, what the fuck, bro? Right. Same thing in the dating world. Just because you are a compelling, amazing offer, you're a great guy, you're a nice guy, you've got good muscles, you've got a lot of money, it helps, it's amazing, it's good, but you can blow it all and ruin it if you don't know how to market and sell yourself. Right. It comes down to that. And that's the social skills that is not taught to us by mom and dad and by school, and certainly not by society. That is something, if you're like me, you have to, for years, if not a decade, painstakingly learn, or you can just hire a fucking mentor, find somebody who's done it, or if you can't afford a mentor, model somebody who's a natural, who's better than you, and you can just learn it the right way in a matter of months and not years. That's what we do for our guys. It's so funny that you say that. There's this guy that I follow on YouTube, Vin, and I forget his. What's that? Vin DiCarlo?
No, he's an Asian fella from like Australia. Vin Jiang, I believe is his name. But he's like he's like motivational speaker type guy. He gives a lot of talks and stuff. And he was
I know
saying,
he's got glasses. He's
yes,
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
yeah. One of the I really
Right.
enjoy his stuff. Very entertaining guy, right? And I appreciate him as in being in the space of like he's a public speaker. Like if you do a YouTube show, if you're a YouTube podcast host, or you know any sort of podcast host, or any in front of any sort of platform in front of an audience, you don't want to sound like not, you know, well the ums and the ahs and well let me you don't want to be stumbly, bro. Nobody want to listen to your shit, you know. So I listened to him, and he talked about a story where he essentially went to people in different fields and paid them for their time for a day. So he's like, I went to a psychologist, and like was like, I want to know everything you know that you could teach somebody about your field, and I'm willing to pay you for a day of your time. So he was like, I paid, I think it was like a couple $1,000s, something like $5,000 or $9,000 for a day of this person's time. And he's like, what they told me was they literally spent a month gathering all the like writing down notes and saying what they should teach and they said it was like one of the like funnest experience. It was very tedious, but it was a fun thing to be able to try and teach somebody essentially all the most important things of their field that they should know. He's like, I did that with a psychologist. I did that with like a real estate. I did that with like a business guy. I did that with like a public. He's like, I did that in all these fields because time, like, again, to your point, like time is money. You're trying to save that time, but also to extract all of that information in the shortest amount of time by somebody who's already gone through it. Maybe there was like a whole bunch of percentage points of things that they learned along the way they don't even use, and it's not even necessary in the field to learn. So then why go through all the textbooks if they're trying to give you the actual practical things that stand out and matter? So when you said that you paid somebody $4,000 to be your business mentor, I instantly thought of that story, and like I'm like, yeah, that makes sense to me.
Because I'm always doing that, by the way. I'm like just 2 weekends ago, I went to this Grant Cardone event, whatever, and I paid this guy Pete Vargas $1,000 just to teach me public speaking. I've done public speaking. I'm pretty good on stage. How do I get that? That's better? A lot of people bug me. They're like, oh, I'm already good with women. I'm good with I don't need help. It's like, show me a guy who's complacent at anything, and I'll show you a guy who's never going to be more successful at that. Facts. The moment you are complacent and you're like, I'm already, I'm never, I don't care about shit body. Even with women, I got a gorgeous ass girlfriend, like, and you know, we go and get it with other girls together. Like, I've got it down, and I'm still like, I can be better. There's still another level. Like, the moment you're like, I'm already good at whatever, you have screwed yourself for life on ever getting better at that. I was complacent with my body until I wasn't. I hit rock bottom. Like, I got to stop being complacent. This is not okay. Yeah. And you don't have to be in a lot of pain to be growth motivated and just say, hey, like Olympic athletes, you know what every Olympic athlete has in common? Every single one that's gotten the gold, they have coaches. Yeah. They have somebody who is helping them to be accountable, pushing them, showing them new strategy, because you don't know what you don't know. No. Yes. And Alex Hormozi had a really great quote about this, right? Every year, let's say you make $100,000 a year, and you're like, I'm good with money. I got a lot of money, right? I'm making. And it's like, well, would you like to learn how to make more? Here, for $10,000, I'll teach you how to make more, right? Like, nah, I'm good with making money, right? Mm-hmm. Every year, you're not making $1 million. You are spending. It is costing you $900,000 to not know the information of how to be making $1 million. That is just a real breakdown. If you're making $100,000 a year and you're not making $1 million, then it costs you $900,000. That's what you really should pay. You should pay $900,000 to get the information for the rest of your life. You're now making $1 million a year. That is the value equation of it. If you're making $500,000 a year, you should be willing to pay $500,000 to get to that, to get to the $1 million, because that's what it's costing. You're already spending it. You're already paying it. In opportunity cost. But this is only, it's so frustrating because only successful people, again, only 3% of guys really get this. The other 97%, it doesn't compute. It's almost like they're like, yeah, but it's gonna cost money. It's a lot of money. And I'm like, no, you're losing 50x
right.
what you're not investing in and doing. Like, for example, it cost me $4,000. That's a lot of money, whatever, right? Now I'm easily making $200,000 a month.
Right.
And it started with that's a no-brainer.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
Women, people are spending all this like hard-earned money on women on date. I saw something like average person spends like, oh God, I want to get this right. I don't remember. It was like 6,000 and change or 7,000 and change a year on bad dates. And it goes with like the cologne and the fashion and the stuff they do to impress women or whatever. The average guy's 6 or 7 grand versus just being like, hey, how about I forget all that shit and I just learn how to do it the right way. I invest in education, and now I'm not guessing anymore. I'm just throwing money away and wasting my hard-earned time, energy, money. Like one of my quotes is, the only thing worse than not having a date this week is having a bad date. So many guys are like, oh, I get women. Like, okay. Question every time a guy comes in our program, I'm like, so how many dates have you had in the last 2 weeks? A lot of them say none. I'm like, okay, well, how long has that been going on for? But some of them will be like, oh, I've had like 4. I'm like, awesome. Oh shit. Okay. I get excited for them. Like, that's pretty good. Like, maybe you're a savant. Maybe you can be my golden child. Like, this is cool. Like, you're coming to me and you're already 4 days a week. Fucking in. That's awesome. I'll ask how many of them are like the high quality women that you really want. And like, oh, none. I don't like any of them. I'm like,
what are we talking about?
What are you doing? Like, why? It's like, what? Why?
What are we talking about?
Now the dots connect. I'm like, oh, so that's why you're coming to me, because you're wasting time, you're wasting money, you're wasting energy, you're wasting your mental health. You're proving to yourself. For the guys watching this who are going on these bad dates, if you're not dating the kind of caliber you want, you're stuck at like 5s or 4s, or maybe you got like a 7 and you're just like, I want 10s. And I don't mean just by looks, by the way. I mean like actual quality. She checks the boxes. She's what you want. Here's me telling you right now, here's your wake-up call. Level the fuck up. Because right now you're training your subliminal mind that is what you are worthy of. Every time you date let's quantify them. I don't really like doing it, but you date a 6.
Yeah.
You are telling yourself you are a 6. This is what you are worth, right? Every time, again, business, same fucking shit. What do they say in business? Increase your offer, make your offer more resistible, increase your value, right? If you are making deals, when you have something that's like, this would solve $100,000 problem, and you're selling it for $100, you're not valuing yourself. And not only are you not valuing it, other people aren't valuing it. Like, it's you're cheapening your service, your brand, yourself. The same thing with your dating life. I said it off camera. Every lesson, for my entrepreneur guys out there, every lesson you've ever learned in business is directly applicable to your dating life, to the point where I've even created and developed a dating funnel. I show people how to create a funnel.
Just like a sales funnel, though.
Yes. Straight up.
I do want to say this too. To that point, I had a friend who was in sales at the time. He's got a girlfriend now. They've been together for like 2 years. Good on him. So happy for him. But we were dating at the same time, and he was he was like a sales manager, and he was like, he's like, how are you? What was the word? Not verifying, not validating. There was like a sales word that he used. Verifying?
Verifying.
Something along. It's gonna come to me, and I'll just pop out with it. One of those things. But he's like, how? Yeah, essentially, like, what's your validation? Like, what's your validation? What is your checklist process? He's like, we have one in sales, and like, if you don't match it, we're not gonna try and sell you a product, like, because then it's wasting everybody's time. And I was just like,
qualify every prospect.
Yeah, qualifying
every woman.
Yeah. And he's like, it doesn't make you a horrible person if you have certain things that you're looking for, because he's like, in business, it doesn't make us, we're not a horrible business because we don't think that we're going to be a good fit for this other business for them to buy us. So like, how is that different? And when he told me that, I was just like, oh my God.
this is something I stumbled on. I'm giving you guys like some news on this one. This is something I only stumbled upon like the last year or so. Mm-hmm. We make more money, not all the time, but as a general rule, we make more money saying no than yes. And that's weird. And I've never heard people talk about this. Something we kind of I get stumbled on. And the same is kind of true with women, because I will say no to more women than I will say yes to. I will say no to more prospects trying to join Modern Success in our VIP program than I'll say yes to. Now, by the way, if anybody applies for the VIP program, you always are left with a win. Even if you're not accepted, even if we say no, like it's not a good fit. And like I said, we say no more than yes at this point. We didn't used to. We used to accept everybody. We used to be like, come. Mm-hmm. But what we found is by doing that, we screw things up a little bit. Number one is we ruin our reputation, our brand, our testimonials, because the truth is it's not for everybody. And then when you get a lot of like the wrong apples coming in, you get bad reviews, you get people saying bad stuff about you because it's not really for them. And number two, the other people who are good, who do belong there, they're like, wait a minute, these are my peers. These are the guys in the community. Ew, yucky. And then they start dropping out. So we lose retention because they're like, this is not the community I want to be a part of. This sucks. And we spend a lot of time servicing guys who are either cheap or bad-minded or just whatever. And then they don't want to do more, upsells and boot camps and really hands-on type training. And we're spending all our time placating them, right? Like, it's like your bottom 20% of customers, we're going to take up 80% of your time. And it just ruins things a lot of time. Also, now you get scarcity and urgency. For example, we have a lot of coaches, but even with, daily, more than daily, it's like sometimes 2 or 3 calls a day in coaching, because we have so many different coaches here. We have to make sure, one of my own quality control for my coaches is you have to have a small class size. Every single person who comes on that call needs one-on-one attention. Yes, it's true. Yes, there might be like 5 guys on the call, but every one of those 5 guys gets their question answered. They make sure they get exactly what they want out of it. You do not end that call until everyone is satisfied. Right. Well, you can't do that if you have 50 people in your Zoom class, right? Yes. So now we have a very real reason, like we have to limit how many guys we have. And I'd rather raise the price and have less guys pay more who are valuing it more committed. They're already proven they're more successful in other areas of life, so they can do this, right? Then have a bunch of bad apples who are just spoiling everything, right? So we started finding this trend where saying no is sometimes makes you more money and gets you better dates than saying yes. For instance, when it goes to the dating world, when I'm qualifying women and I'm friend zoning them, big practice of mine, I will friend zone a lot of women. Number one, they're more attracted to me now. Everybody wants what they can't have, right? Scarcity, right? So they're in my circle, they're in my ecosystem, and they still want me, but I'm not spending my time chasing for my energy into these bad women. So where does my energy go? To the quality women that I do want. I'm triggering my reticular activation system to only focus on the type of women, the quality women that I do want. I'm not dating with intention. Not to say I get rid of all these other girls that I'm finding and meeting. I just add them to my social circle. And now they introduce me to a friend, to become a lead gen, to become referrals. They make me look good. I'm getting pre-selected. I'm doing all this good stuff, right? But actual dating, during COVID, when I turned on my online dating, I was never big on online dating until COVID. And I'm like, I better figure this the fuck out. Like, I was when I tell you I was a local celebrity in San Diego, I'm not joking. I would do a boot camp or like 1-on-2 or whatever there. Every block on Gaslamp in San Diego, in downtown San Diego, I would be recognized by some girl or some guy going, Jared, what's up? Like, I was a celebrity.
Stop it, bro.
It was only in San Diego, specifically downtown San Diego.
Okay.
I could walk.
Running the block.
Either entrepreneur circles or the nightlife circles.
Bro.
Somebody knew who I was. Waiters would like, you're Jared. It was weird. I've never had that in my life, right? And what I started like discovering as I went through this more and more is that anybody can recreate that same system for themselves by just focusing on building up that lifestyle. So I was the lifestyle guy, but COVID happened and then everything shut down. I'm like, oh man, I can't use my usual bag of tricks of having like free access to the to the DJ table in the #1 club in the city. Like every Friday, I would walk in, Moses would part the seas of the crowd. I would take 15 girls into the club. I would get the number 2 DJ table. The first one was for the DJ. I didn't get that one. But I got the number 2 one right next to that table. It was right behind the DJ. It was me, Drew, maybe 2 other guys, and then 15, 20 girls. We had to bus them. We couldn't fit all of them in the car. So we took a party bus from a mansion. It was crazy, bro. But now, COVID, I'm like, oh, shit, I can't do this stuff anymore. I
can't do it.
And by the way, all of this is documented. Anybody who wants, I can ask. I have all of this filmed where you can see my lifestyle during that time before COVID happened. It's insane. So I've got all the videos and the pictures and all this crazy shit. So COVID happens. I'm like, I got to double down online dating. I systematize it. I go, all right, you're Jared. You get success. You figure shit out. Let's do it. I turn on the faucet. I get the formula. I fail a lot, by the way.
Yes.
The difference between winners and losers is winners fail more than losers ever try. But I tweak it. I figure it out. I got 9 dates in 5 days when everyone's supposed to be locked down on a pandemic. 9 dates in 5 days. It got to the point I couldn't work. You understand? Like 9 dates. I'm averaging about 2 dates, more than averaging 2 dates a day.
I literally want to time out right here because so back in the day, again, very early on in the heyday of this podcast, is 2019. So again, pre-COVID. But I remember at the time I was finding some solid success on online dating. And one week I went on 4 different dates with 4 different women. And I remember kind of decompressing on the podcast afterwards because this used to be more of a I'm dating and what's dating like for other people. And let me tell you like a little bit of my experience. It was never shitting on women or anything like that. It was just more of like, here's a question. What do people think about this?
That's a side topic. The red pill pandemic manosphere, I think, is ruining.
Stop that. Stop. Yeah, let's stop all of that. Yeah. So it was just more of a like raising questions with my friends type podcast. And then as I went to therapy, this has turned into a more of like a what are people doing out there to establish healthy relationships? What does it look like with the dating coaching community? What does it look like with dating therapists, relationship therapists? What does it look like with people out there? What are we all talking about, and what questions come up that are making people better? That's sort of what this has turned into. But anyways, at the time, 4 dates in a week, and I remember talking about this on the podcast, and somebody asking, like, what was that like? How was the week like? Was it, I was like, it was the most stressful week of my life, like having to keep up with texting and you're still matching online and you're having to keep up with like, it's like I used to be a party promoter downtown at clubs. It was like that. It was like trying to arrange this thing and you're trying to make sure this party's going on and then this other thing. And it was stressful.
What city were you a promoter in?
Austin, Texas. I live in Austin, Texas.
Gotcha.
So it just felt very, very stressful. It was fun. Every date was like fun. I always try to make it like I never want to walk into an experience. I think I developed this very early on and I think being a podcasting host, and again, talking at the time with a lot of complete strangers in the MMA world or boxers or what, I'm meeting them online. We've never met each other and I'm having to establish rapport. Have it be light, have it jokey, just have it like as if we met and we having a beer and like we're just having a good time. That is the atmosphere I wanted to bring to every single date. Like worst case scenario, we're gonna have fun. Best case scenario, we're gonna have fun. And you know what? We'll go on another date. Like and that'll be fun. But that's the way that's a mindset that I carried on very early on.
The ultimate attraction switch is fun.
Yes.
It is the ultimate attraction switch. People are like money. Looks, I will trade fun for, and if a girl thinks I'm fun, that'll trump a girl thinking I'm rich or handsome. I'm telling you right now. Like, there's nothing. I don't want a girl to think of me. There's no better compliment than a girl being like, "You are so fun."
Yes.
I want to be around you. You are
fun
as fuck. Now you have to sexualize that. You have to, you have to move it around. You don't want to go to friends or whatever, but when a girl sees a guy that's like, this guy's fun, he lights up a room, he's just, oh my God, you get noticed way more than the guy with the Rolex. Believe me, I've tried. I've got 3 Rolexes and 2 APs, and I'll go out, whatever. Guys, for the watch people out there, whatever, it is a dick magnet. It is not a chick magnet. I went to a Cordone's event. I wore one of my APs.
All the guys around you.
I have 4 or 5 guys like comment on the watch, like, yo, my thing, it chips over here. But I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah, it's really nice. Like, and it's not even Rolex, it's an AP, right? So you have to be like kind of in the know. I've worn my Rolex out, different clubs, Vegas, San Diego, Florida. I think one time ever did a girl be like, ooh, I like your Rolex, or like even notice it or whatever. Now, sure, maybe they notice I want to say something or whatever, but like in terms of tangible difference,
right?
No, you know what does though? I will say this. I'm gonna give you some.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Industry secrets. I usually share my guy. Here's what will work: cheating. Getting the shoes. Go to Dons.com, or if you're on a budget, tallmanshoes.com. Getting extra 2 to 4 inches.
Oh, the tall shoes.
I think Missouri. That's another brand I've seen it getting out there. Guys, and I know everybody's like, I have so much hate on this. I get so much hate on this, but tall man shoes are such a game changer for 2 reasons. One, you feel big dick. You feel more confident. I don't care what you want to say. And it's not even for my short kings. It's not even for guys who are 5'4", 5'7". Even if you're 6 foot, do it. You just feel like, oh my God. You're looking around and you're like, people are shorter. This is cool. Like, you just feel better, number one. You get a noticeable different reaction from women seeing the height. Right. Like, I've seen myself get in better shape, which took me months of hard, grueling work. And yeah, I see a little bit of like a girl, like, okay, like they're noticing a little bit. Right. The height thing, boom, they notice. I see the difference when I wear them, when I don't. I'm like, this is such a cheat code. And now every guy's probably saying the same thing. Sure, Jared. But what happens when you take them off and she catches?
Tell the story. I watched your YouTube clip a bit. Tell the story. Do the bit.
So I was worried about this too, and I remember taking it off in front of the girl, and she caught me right there. It was every guy's worst number. They keep bringing it up. It's never happened before. But she sees my height go down. She goes, "Wait, are those height shoes?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm just trying to play it off or whatever. She goes, "Oh, all right. You better wear them out next time." She liked it. She was in it. Because at that point, you're already in bed. You're already like, she's into you. She's making out with you. You've won. It's the same thing. You ever been with a girl? Maybe you guys have it. Shame, but whatever. You've been with a girl where like she takes her push-up bra off, and you're like, oh, the tits sag a little bit, but all right, whatever. She's still hot. I'm still into it. Like, sure, but you're like, I just wanted to wear the push-up bra again. Oh, it's good. It's the same thing. You might get a tease. You might go, haha, but who gives a fuck? She's not like, I've been wearing high shoes for the last 6 years now or some shit. Never. Now, granted, they shouldn't be platforms. It shouldn't be fucking obvious. It shouldn't be like weird. It should be like subtle. The subtle height shoes. It give you 2 to 4 inches. If you're going like 6 inches, that's.
Let's stop. Let's stop here and let's have a conversation and meet Jesus. Let's not do that.
2 to 4.
Yeah.
I've never had a girl disqualify me because of the shoes. Not once. They'll show it. The girls will be like, "Yeah, wear it. I like it." Ironically, only my girlfriend is like, she's not against it, but she doesn't carry her weight because she's 5'2". Okay. So she's like, I don't need you to be towering over me or whatever. Like, either way, you're tall and handsome to me. And I like it. So I'm like, cool, babe. But every other girl, who not girls aren't short, like they're just like, yes. And I'm 5'10". Okay. I put on, 2 inches, boom, magic height. I hit the 6 foot. No, I'm 6 foot to 6'2". Every time I go out, it's awesome. So definitely something to consider, guys.
Add into your game, fellas. But yeah, to your credit, to your point, right? Nine dates in a week. Again, for me, I go back to the 4 dates in a week, and I was just like, it is so time consuming. There's a tad of like just sort of like keeping up with everything, and you could still have fun. Like, I would still have fun. I think every single date was like a fun date, which I want to ask a question about bad dates and stuff, because I think I've only had one bad date, and I probably went on 50 first dates with them.
One bad date in your life? Holy shit! I want to pay for your course. Fuck me.
I'll tell that story. It was crazy, but like, yeah, every one of them went very solidly. Whether we went on a second date or not, like it was a fun time. It ended very solidly, and I don't think like it was like one of those things where it's like we didn't text each other. Probably none of that magic spark or whatever the kids call it, but like, it was still fun. We had good conversation.
Wait, that's your worst date story is you didn't text each other? That's what made it bad?
No, that is not my worst one. My worst one is a date went, we met at one place. It was cool. It was a place that the girl suggested. They come to find out she suggested that place because she was unemployed and was knew the owner and was trying to look for a job there.
Okay.
And then we ended up getting free food, which was cool. Went to another place, listened to some music, had some beers, and then we were going to go back to her place, and I think have a drink, wait for a lift because she lived closer to downtown. We were basically coming far away and then coming back into town. She's like, let's have a drink, call a lift, and then we'll go downtown.
Okay.
She ends up going to the bathroom by the pools, and she's like, wait for me here. I did. It was like 5 or 10 minutes. A friend of mine was texting. She's like, hey, how's your date going? And I'm like, good, but I've been hanging outside of this pool for like pool bathrooms for like 7 minutes. She's like, is she okay? Were y'all drinking? And I'm like, yeah, I don't, maybe. She's like, check on her in the bath. She may be sick. So I opened the door, and I didn't want to be like a peeping Tom, but I'm like, hello. And it was just like echo, hello, hello, hello. Is anybody here? I looked, and I kind of peeked my head in. I look, nobody's in the stall. There's another door that goes to the rest of the complex. So she ends up bailing. The girl ended up bailing. And I was just like, bro, what? What in the F? Anyways, like the story should go, we went on 2 more dates. But anyways, like that is besides the point. Like that was a weird, like looking back, messed up experience. Should have never gone on 2 more dates. But like that was a salty way to end, you know? But that was literally my personal experience of like a worst date.
Okay, I mean that's okay. It's pretty bad, but I've definitely been through the ringer.
I'm sure, yeah. And here's the thing. I'm so lucky to not go through any, like, I've heard some horrible dating stories, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like these people out here are messed up, man. Y'all all need Jesus.
I look at it as an occupational hazard back in the day. That's how I view it.
Yeah. Facts. It's just so many people I feel like have that experience of like, oh my God, it's such a bad date. But I also, I say this, I'm like, who are you dating and how are you fielding these people? How are you qualifying these people like to get even to that point? 1, 2, when you get to that point, like, what are you like? Are you going out for like an activity or dinner on the first? Like, what, I always have a rule. I always would go for drinks on the first date and be at a place that had drinks where there was another place or food thing or somewhere around there where if the date went good and was going good, by 2 drinks, by 1 drink, if you're going to stay for 2 drinks. By 2 drinks, if you're going to be in for a solid night. Very low investment. What is drinks? Like $10, $15 maybe. If you cover one and it's a loss. What's that?
Try being in Vegas and Miami, and
right, where it's $1,000 a drink. But that was sort of a rule that I had. Like, let's go for drinks. If we know by the end of drinks, we want to do something, I'll like pick a place where it's something else. So that way it is that adventure, that sense of you can go, oh, let's go to a restaurant or whatever. It makes the date more fun. But that was always a rule of thumb. But then I'd have friends who'd be like, oh, we're going to go to a restaurant and I'm like, what if by cheese sticks, you realize like this person kicks puppies? Like, what are you going to do then?
Awful the restaurant dates, awful the movie dates.
Yes.
Awful the guys who are trying to like get the girl to link up at their place to smoke some weed and chill. Like, stop, guys, stop.
Please stop all that.
Yeah. Interactive dates are by far the best. Personal favorite is the barcade.
Oh yeah, those are fun. So much fun.
Something along those lines. It's interactive. There's drinks. It's built-in time distortion, which is a psychological phenomenon where the different environments you take her on the date, the more time it feels like she knows you. So, for example, even at you want to go to different places, ideally, like an ice cream place, walk on the beach, a hookah lounge. Like, ideally, I said to my dates where like I know when it goes well, because it will go well. If I screen it, I know it, but I'll have it where it's like I know everything is quick walking distance and it's vastly different. There's one area I know that has a barcade. There's a beach area. There's a hookah, margarita type bar. And when it goes really well at the end of the night, there's another big pro tip. Optional, but if I've made out with her and it's going really well, as we walk back to the car, we pass a sex shop. And then if she's open and adventurous, we notice the sex shop. We go in there. She buys anything. Anything is being used that night. It's awesome. But I want that time distortion. I want like different places. If you go to 4 different places in 4 hours, it feels like 4 dates versus you stay in one place for 4 hours.
Yes.
But like at Dave & Buster's, even at different places, you can find time distortions. I can let's play pool. Let's go to the bar and get something to eat. Let's go do the arcade machines. Let's go to the laser tag room. They're all very unique to different feelings and activities that add to her feeling she's known you forever. That trigger.
Right. And then you get that competitiveness when it's, you're like, oh, and it adds a little bit of the chemistry to things. Like always a competition always adds solid, like, people are like, I don't feel the spark. I don't feel like that's a good way to do it. That's a good way to induce some chemistry right there. I want to talk about this, Jared, as far as, I guess it would be inner game shadow work and stuff. What are your feelings? And so the reason I'm going to ask this to give context is, my whole mind shift, my whole experience with dating, relationships, not just with people, but with myself, my whole confidence, everything changed a lot after I went to therapy and started repairing a lot of things internally first. I then went out and then was just like, I'm just going to meet people now with this newfound mindset, this newfound sort of confidence, meeting people. And then I kind of put myself back out there into the dating realm. And it felt like everything felt like it changed phenomenally. Yeah. What is your thoughts on, I guess, the mental health aspect first when it comes to, a guy coming into the dating space and stuff like that?
I've done both. I'm a trained therapist. My background is in psychology.
Psych.
Yeah, Psych, right? So 7 years. So my nickname is Psych. 7 years of formal psychological training. I've been FAU, FIU, all the Florida schools down here. So I am a trained therapist. I worked for a suicide crisis center for a while. I dealt with the hardest cases imaginable before I'm like, fuck this. This is too depressing for me. I want to do the coaching. I want to give advice. I want to actually. Here's my definition of it. Therapy is designed in a way that the goal is to make you okay and happy with your current situation. Coaching is designed in a way to say, we're going to make you happy by changing your current situation. As a coach, my job is not to be like, just keep things the same and you're great. My job is to be like, okay, you want X goal. You have for example, if people come to me for business advice, for business coaching, my goal is to get you making, $20,000, $50,000 a month, which I've done for multiple guys, showing them steps and ways of making $20,000 to $50,000 a month, right? Using systems or whatever the case. I can't be like, all right, you're making $3,000 a month and now you're hiring me to coach you. You're still making $3,000 a month, but you feel better about it, don't you? Right? Like that's coach. That wouldn't work as a coach. A therapist could work that, right? A therapist could make you feel okay and better and be like, but look at the bright side of things and release and there's a lot of therapeutic work. So I see therapy having its place. Absolutely. I don't see it as a one all be all type thing. I do believe you have to get the next step. Therapy for me is specifically for guys who are incapable of two things. You're either in such a bad rut, in such a bad place, you are incapable of taking action, or you are self-sabotaging the action that you take because you're in a bad place. If you fall into one of these two camps, yeah, you should go to therapy because you need to be okay with who you are, where you're at, the right mindset, so you can either A, take action, or B, take action the right way without the self-sabotage, without all the junk thoughts messing you up, right? But assuming you can take action and not sabotage yourself, look, therapy is great. Therapy feels good. It's good, and you can learn. I will say that the other cool thing about therapy is you can learn a lot because you're opening up and talking about things you just never talk about normally. So it is very. The word is cathartic. It's very cathartic, and it's very enlightening. Like for example, you're like, oh, so this is where my trauma comes from. Oh, so actually that's not okay. It wasn't okay that my mom was always like this, and when I was a kid, this is why I do these bad behavior patterns because of this upbringing that I had. Beautiful. But understanding the why doesn't replace the work of, okay, but now let me actually take the steps to fix that shit and do the right proper stuff, right?
Yeah.
So my belief, and again, this is just my opinion. I know it's very controversial, but if you're in a place where you can take action without sabotaging yourself, I don't know if you have to know where your shitty behavior comes from. So like, for example, let's say Johnny again, this is very, what's the word? Conflict or a lot of people are going to disagree with this and hate me for this. And
it's controversial, huh?
Controversial. It's a very controversial opinion. But here's my honest to God opinion on this. Johnny can't approach women. Or if he does it, he approaches women the wrong way. Okay. The reason Johnny approaches women the wrong way is because something to do with his upbringing, right? It made him creepy. It made him just, his dad was always really sexual guy and inappropriate sexual with his mom. And he just grew up thinking that's okay. So whenever he approaches women, it's in a very overt sexual way, right?
Yes.
But Johnny's not aware that his dad was overly sexual. Johnny doesn't know why he's overly sexual in the approach. He just is, right? He hasn't gone to therapy.
Right.
Johnny comes to me and I go, and he's in a place where he's like, I don't give a fuck. I want to be good. I want to approach women the right way. What do I do? If I just told Johnny, hey, that's too sexual, trust me, and you should do it this way. Say these kind of openers, you start things this kind of way, and stop trying to pick women up, start trying to befriend them at first and make them really comfortable. If Johnny's in a place where he can listen to that advice and not sabotage himself, which can happen, and just go, all right, I'm going to do it that way, does he need to understand that his dad does he need to go through months, if not years, of self-realization to figure out why he was sexual at the beginning? Or can he just stop doing it, identify the sticking point, and do the proper solution that he was told and that works? Especially if we use Skinner's behavioral psychology, which is every time Johnny's creepy, he's punished and he's rejected for it. Women shame him and reject him, punishment. And every time I'm like, no, but here's a better way. Just try it this way. And he goes and it works. And he goes, oh, I'm rewarded. The girl likes this. Through operant conditioning, through reward and punishment, Johnny's going to learn to stop being a overly sexual, creepy fuck without ever realizing where it came from in childhood. Because that is a psychology approach called psychoanalysis. It comes from Freudian psychology. And I hate to say it, but a lot of Freudian and neo-Freudian psychology has been debunked over the decades. There's still, I don't want to say it's useless or whatever. There's still a lot of good in it. But you're talking about a man who, and he's founded psychology. He is the godfather. He created this. Like, hats off. But there was a lot wrong at that time. This is the guy who gave cocaine to his patients. This is the guy.
That's not bad. No, I'm just kidding.
This is the guy on record saying, I don't need to test the validity of my teachings because I just know it's right.
Oh,
and you're like, well,
oh baby, no way. Yeah.
We don't do that in the academic world and science world. But he's just like, fuck it, I know I'm right. Well, Freud, you've only really ever helped valedictorian rich women. You don't really see other guys. Doesn't matter. I'm right. Versus like, all right, tested, valid, reliable psychology sources. So anyways, my controversial opinion is you can spend years and years in therapy overcoming some great realization, which we will be, to figure out, well, what the fuck do I do now that I understand this is the problem? Or you could just use real world data saying, hey, this isn't working. This is the problem. What's the solution? Let me implement the solution by testing new ideas. It speeds up the process tremendously. You will get better in months, not years. With that said, and so now that we understand my opinion on it, here's a disclaimer, here's a caveat. And by the way, a lot of therapists will say the same thing about my industry. Like, don't get a coach. You don't need, because think about this, right? Before I go to my caveat, sometimes I'll send my students to therapy being like, let me help them. And then what does the therapist say? Stop getting coached. Stop approaching women. Stop doing these stuff. Because what are they hearing? This is stressing me out. This is really hard. This makes me feel bad, which, by the way, if you're going to go through some coaching on getting more money, getting more women, getting a better body,
it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be uncomfortable. Get a coach at the gym. It's going to be uncomfortable.
It's going to suck at first. You're going to be sucking donkey dick for like look at Gary Vee. He's like, look, you got to eat shit for 4 years to eat caviar the rest of your life. It's not uncomfortable. It's eating shit. It sucks. It is the shit that 97% of men will never do because it sucks. Sometimes it is soul shattering. You like find your perfect girl and it's going great. Everything's perfect. You do everything right. You do one fucking thing wrong and then you lose it all. And you're like, no, and you're on but I firmly believe the ups are worth the downs. The end of the goal is worth all of that shit because I don't know anyone who's fucking made it as one of the 3% who said, nah, that wasn't worth it, man. I wish I didn't do that shit. I wish I could go back and just avoid all that. Like, they're all just like, yes, I'm so thankful for the body. Yes, being a millionaire is awesome. Yes, having access and being able to attract any girl I want is fucking dope. Like, it's never like, oh, I wish I didn't do it, right? So, but a therapist, even if I was a therapist, back in my therapy, if I heard this shit, I would say stop. Because again, what is a therapist's job? To make you okay with your current situation. So if you're doing stressors, if you're doing things that are, and your report that he or she is hearing is like, hey, this is making him sad, frustrated, angry. This is like hard, right? They're going to say, stop, just focus on you. Just, do some breath work. Like explore your options and just, put yourself out there when you feel it's good. Fuck that. Put yourself out there every fucking day. Do 10 approaches. Put a number to it. If you are serious about getting this, it's like, imagine going to, here, this is my final rant on this. And by the way, therapy is amazing again.
Yes.
If you're clinically depressed, if you have clinical anxiety, if you're in a place where you're uncomfortable every fucking day just existing, if you are plagued by negative thoughts and belief systems, if you are trying to take action and you are just like giving up immediately and you can't, therapy is amazing. It has its place. Meditation.
No, you're good.
When you want to deep focus, when you want to calm yourself more throughout the day, it has its place, right? But this is my little issue with therapy in the wrong sense. Who the hell says I'm struggling with my business, so I'm going to go to therapy? Who is like, I'm not making the revenue I want to make, so I'm going to go see a therapist to figure out how to make more money?
Right.
Who the hell is like, well, I guess there is therapy for weight loss, but like it's a long route. You could be like, all right, I'm clinically obese, let me go to therapy, or I'm clinically obese, let me get a personal trainer and nutritionist. However, if you refuse to meet up with that trainer and do the exercise because you're too depressed, if you keep self-sabotaging your diet because you have an eating disorder, you need therapy. It's just like, you have to understand when it's good versus there's a pandemic of feel good advice and do what's easy. Like if I hear another person say, meditate your way to success because meditation just requires you sitting around in silence, I'm going to lose my fucking shit. I really am. Everybody's like, I'm just going to meditate and journal more. Honestly, real inner game. You guys want real inner game advice? Like the real inner work? Best shit I've ever read, Psycho-Cybernetics. That is my biggest advice. Get the book Psycho-Cybernetics because that shows you the hard work that you can put in to get real inner results, the visualization techniques, the awareness, constant awareness of bad thoughts coming up in your head and how to reframe them correctly and identity change. That is the hands down the best. And of course, I discovered this before I ever knew any business coaches or whatever. I discovered this years and years ago, Psycho-Cybernetics. Of course, I get into the entrepreneur world. What is Sam Evans talking about? What is Russell Brunson talking about? What is Jordan Belfort talking about? Joel Kaplan talking about? You should read the Psycho-Cybernetics book. This is great for my business. My mental, wow. Right?
Yeah.
Like, there's real, anytime, here's another, I know I'm ranting, my last final thought. Anytime you're given advice and it sounds really easy to do and it's like nice and it's comforting and it's really easy, probably not the best advice. The real talk, the real shit that's going to move the needle and better your life and get you better at shit, it's going to sound uncomfortable. It's going to sound hard. It's going to seem like that's a lot. Good. I've trained myself where if somebody's like, one simple trick I'm like, go fuck yourself. Yeah. When I hear somebody like, all right, I'll teach you how to do it, but this is not going to be easy. This is going to be like, I'm like, I'm going to listen to that guy. That guy's giving the fucking goods. And if you could train yourself to go against what 97% would want, quick and easy. The Hormozy principle, right? You want dream outcome with a high chance of success divided by, you want to eliminate anything that takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. But the problem is, to get successful at things, usually it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort.
Yes.
So don't fall for that. Don't fall for things that are saying, hey, really easy, no time at all, blah, blah, blah. Not to say you can't do that. Like for some people, if I'm like, I'll get you your dream girl in a matter of months. I'll get you really good with women in, like 6 months or whatever, right? For a lot of people, they're like, that's a long time. I want to just take a 3-day course and get good after 3 days. I'm like, go fuck yourself. It took me 3 years, 3 years of going out 6 days a week, banging my head against one. The only reason I was at 7 because even God got a fucking day of rest. But like, I banged my head against the wall, frustrated out of my mind. My eyes are bleeding for 3 years. The fact that I'm able to take 3 years and get you there in 6 months, that's ungodly. But people don't respect it. They want quick and easy. But anybody who wants to be successful at anything, avoid that shit. So anyway, that's my whole opinion, my controversial opinion rant on the topic.
And I think I hear it, and I hear, because I when I first started doing therapy, let me just give a little bit of story. And I think there's
I've done therapy too. By the way, I've been in therapy and I've been a therapist. Like I've done
You've seen both sides of the pendulum. I'll say this too. So no part of it has been short and quick. I would have gone to therapy now in September. It's going to be 3 years.
Yeah.
And nothing came overnight. And in fact, so to your point, my therapist is somewhere between the way that you're describing a coach and a therapist. Like she wasn't exactly like, oh, well, just kind of let's settle in with this trauma. And like, it was more of like, okay, how do you think about that? How do you feel about that? What is a better action course? And even before I leave, I'm like, hey, doc, I would call her doc. She's not a doctor, but I'm like, just doc, what's my homework between now and the next time that I see you? And it was so much of that in the in-between. Like I would take what she would tell me, and then I'd go watch videos on YouTube about, anxious attachment style, or do the anxious attachment style workbooks, read the books in the interim of me going to therapy. So I say therapy is like this, and I think you'll get a kick out of this. Therapy is like meeting with a coach at the gym, right? And if you're not working out in between the times that you see your coach, and you go back to your coach and he's like, okay, how's your tries, man? I showed you the workouts. And you're like, oh, I ain't even touched my tries since the last time I saw you, bro. And he's like, that was a month ago. Now we have to start all over again.
Huge plus. Accountability. That's a huge plus of therapy.
Facts.
Yes.
Facts.
I will say a dark side of it. I'm not hating on therapy. I'm with you on it. But there is something that comes up that a lot of, here's how you know, okay, there's so many, like, there's good, here's another thing. There are really good therapists and bad ones. They're not all crazy.
I believe it.
There's a lot of really good coaches and bad coaches out there, mentors out there. They're not all created equal. You got to, and I like yours because yours gives you any therapist that gives you actionable things to do, because a lot of them don't.
Yeah.
A lot of them are just like, talk to me. I'm repeating back what you said. Talk to me. Repeating back what you said. Well, that ends our time. And it's like, okay.
Nothing happened.
But you got actionable things. So I think you're lucky enough to get a good one. So that's kudos to you. Let's talk about attachment style, though, because you brought that up. This is a very dangerous area in the psychology world, because it's the power of labeling. And this is something that was recently discovered. I'm talking the last 3 to 5 years they discovered this. It's a problem. It's a pandemic in the psychology world, and it's a very controversial even among psychologists, which I'm just like, no.
Let's do it. Yeah.
So here's the way it goes. Labeling is when you label a diagnosis on a patient, it makes them more symptomatic. It makes them worse.
Oh, I love that.
For example, if you have anxious attachment style, and I'm a psychologist, and I go, Blake, you have anxious attachment style. You go, what's that? And you look it up, and you go, that's me. And then you identify that, and now you're going to do more of it. It's going to actually make you worse than better, because you're like, well, I got it. We see a crazy bipolar. Bipolar is like the best case study of this. They are like just living like, sometimes I'm depressed, doc. I don't know. I'm like, whatever. Then they're told they're bipolar, and then they go off their shit.
They just lean into it. Yeah.
Now they're like, I can't get it. I'm bipolar. And they'll go, I'm manic. I can't help myself. I'm bipolar. And it's like, you are, but like, damn, bro. Like, now you're identifying as this victim.
Right.
And because you're taking on the identity. So I just did a relationship workshop with our guys. We talked about attachment style. And what I told everybody is, I now dub all of you, and Blake, I was attachment style, anxious attachment style. And so me and you, we could same thing. I now dub you secure attachment style. Whether you are or not, I would love if you took this on and say, I actually have secure attachment style, but every now and then I would do anxious attachment style things.
Yes.
I'll do anxious attachment style behaviors, but I am secure attachment style, so I shouldn't be doing that.
Yes.
When you take on the proper identity, Now you don't want to do the anxious attachment style stuff. You go, that's not me. I identify this as not me, so I'm going to cut that. For example, when I lost the weight, the number one thing that helped me lose the weight and keep it off is my belief, my delusional belief. It's not true. I was fatty McFatterson. I was obese as shit. I was 230 pounds, right? Now I'm like 198 or whatever. I saw myself as a fit man. This is again psycho-cybernetics talking, right? I said, I'm not fat anymore. I'm fit. This is unacceptable. As a fit guy, what do? I go to the fucking gym. As a fit guy, I don't eat that. Fit guys don't eat that. By taking on this identity and not saying I'm fit. The reason obese people are so obese in my mind, because they look in the mirror and they go, I'm obese. This is right. You ate that whole pizza? Yeah, I'm obese.
Right.
What I do.
What else am I supposed to do? Yeah.
And that is a problem. You have to see yourself as the right label. I'll give you a recent psychology experiment that was done. I think it's so genius and money that proves this. They brought 100 women, or maybe not. Maybe you need like 32 to be statistically significant. So 40 women, whatever. And they said, we're going to do an experiment to see if there is interview discrimination based on disfiguration. So what it means is we're going to put makeup prosthetics on your face, scars, and like make your face all look nasty. And you're going to go to this job interview and you're going to report back if you feel there's any kind of discrimination based on how you look. So they put the scars on them and they showed a mirror to the women saying, hey, look at yourself. You see how disgusting you look? And they're like, yeah, oh my God, it looks so real.
Right.
Cool. Then after that, on the way out, they go, actually, we got to just touch this up a bit. They go to touch it up. They take it all off. But the woman doesn't know it's off. All right. The woman has no idea. She still thinks that there's like, we got to touch it up. Okay. Now it looks perfect. And she thinks she's got all these scars and hideous shit on her face. She goes to the interview. 76% or 78%, one of those things, like a very high percent, come back going, absolutely, I was discriminated.
I felt different. Yeah.
It felt different. They were making snide comments. It was subtle, but it was there. I could tell they didn't want me because of the facial. And it's like, it's all in your fucking head. But because they identify now as having that, even though it's not there, it affected their entire worldview.
So I love the fact that you said, identifying with the labeling fact, because I do agree to that. And when I meet people out in public, I say I'm former anxious attachment style, because I no longer really identify. It's two things.
I would just say secure. Just say you're secure, because your brain doesn't really know the difference of a negative. If I go, I'm not true. That's true. If I go, I'm not fat, my brain is still saying I'm fat. It's better to say I'm fit. I'm in shape.
And I am secure. And the reason I think that I say former anxious attachment style is because when I'm saying these things, as like, usually it starts off with like, yeah, I host a dating and relationship podcast. And so as I'm getting into the subject matter of what I talk about, I think I normally use it as like a humanizing way of being like, listen, like I used to be here and I don't see myself in that space anymore. But now I'm going to start to use like, I am secure. But I will say this, even when I went into my therapy appointment, my very first one, I self-identified as anxious attachment style based on the book Attached, based on doing quizzes, based on just doing a whole bunch of stuff. And so my therapist, she was like, well, let's break this down. 12 minutes in, she was like, yeah, you have anxious attachment style. I'm like, that's perfect. That's why I'm here, because I don't want to be that anymore, because I know that I don't have to be I know that there is.
Saying, though, you're not that. Instead of chasing the dragon and making this future thing, just say, I'm not that right now. I'm done. I'm done with it. Right now, I'm secure attachment style. If I do anxious attachment style behaviors, I know I'm in the wrong because I'm secure attachment. Another example is, I get a lot of guys who start with women coming to me and say they're introverts. I'm like, no, you're not. No. Extrovert, and introvert is a spectrum, right? You see you're an introvert. I'll ask Timmy over there, who's crazy introvert, way more introvert. To him, you're an extrovert because it's a spectrum, right? So I'm like, instead of just saying you're a fucking introvert, I now dub the ambivert. You have both stuff.
All the birds.
You can get the best of extroverts. You can get the best of introverts. You can be a life of the party. You can have amazing, deep, powerful one-on-one connections. I don't think of myself as an extrovert introvert. I think of myself as an ambivert. I can do deep focus. I like my time alone. I like to study. I like to geek out. I like to be on the party, fist bumping, dancing, life of the party. Take both of it and take the identity, because so many guys are like, yeah, I'm an introvert, so I can't talk to women. It's like, who told you you're an introvert?
Right.
Well, it just sounds like me. It's like, then change that shit. Don't identify as that. Right. And it's this weird thing of like, people are looking for what currently identifies them versus let me change and morph into the thing I want to be. And people are like, well, but Jared, that's not being authentic. That's not being genuine. Or like, I don't want to change. I love me. Really, you don't want to change. So are you the same person you were 10 years ago? Do you have the same pain and desires and day-to-day thoughts of 10 years ago? No. How about 20 years ago? Did that person the same one? No. How about
no?
Right? 7-year-old me, very different than 17-year-old me, very different than 27-year-old me,
27-year-old.
Right? Seriously, like me at 7 was still me. My point is, whether you like it or not, you're going to change. I don't care how much you want to hold on to whoever you are right now, you are not going to be you as you are now 10 years from now. So you have to accept the only constant is change. So now, once you can accept that reality, the only thing left is to make a decision. Do you want your change to be by random circumstance and luck and whatever external factors control it? Or do you want it to be by your own design?
Yeah.
I didn't just luck into being incredibly good with women and having my dream girl. I didn't just luck into becoming a millionaire. I didn't just luck in to, getting in. I'm still working on the shape I want to be, but I didn't luck in to losing the fact. It was by design, and a big part of it was by labeling myself as this thing beforehand. When I was shitty with women, I didn't identify as shitty with women. I said, I'm the world's best seducer. I'm the man with women. That's me now, even though I couldn't get a date to save my life. When I was broke as shit, just started my business, I identified with millionaires to the point where I remember having like 20 grand in my name or something, whatever, something like little. I'm okay. I'm entrepreneur now. I'm making some money. I remember having like 20 grand in my name, going to these like seminar, and part of it was like, here's a 7-figure speaker panel, right? And I'm like, ooh, what do my peers have to say? Literally, that's what it felt. I'm like, I didn't look at them as like above me. I'm like, okay, let me see if I agree with what they're saying because I'm one of them. I'm like, I'm curious what my peers are saying.
Yeah,
so I think. It really felt. I had 20 grand. I'm fucking delusional. I had 20 grand in my name. I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm a millionaire. Let's see if they're right and they agree with my thoughts. The fitness, I look in the mirror every day. I'm fat as shit. I'm like, I should have a 6-pack. I should be buff. Like, I am buff. Like, I'm a fit guy. And to the point where, so now I look in the mirror, I'm like, that's disgusting because that's not me.
Right.
That's not how I look. What is going on? I got to hit the gym more. I got a crazy diet because that is not me. There's such a power to that people don't tap into.
Yeah, absolutely. Jared, I'd love to have you on again because I feel like there's so much more to tap into talk about. For the meantime, though, let's round this out, man. Where can people find you? Let people know what you got going on. And just take over the show for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few. I'd say social media. Look, you can email me. You could check out my YouTube. Look, if you want to get the goods, I'm most active in 2 places. My Facebook group, it's going to be changed. So it's either going to be the Modern Flirting Facebook group as it is now, or we're rebranding. We're going to be changing. Ideally, it would be Modern Success. But you could just find me, Jared Laurence on Facebook. I can show you the Facebook group. I do free coaching in there every week.
Yeah.
I believe in the Hermosi principle of just give the goods. And if people like you, they'll want more. So if anybody wants just free coaching, training, I give freebies all the time, go to the group. Or Instagram's another good one. I give so many giveaways and freebies and like really cool stuff. You can see my reels on Instagram. So you can talk with me directly. The Jared Laurence, Jared Laurence. It's on Instagram, and I'll do one better. I'll do one better for you guys. Anybody who messages me the word Blake, who's following me on there, I'm going to give you 4 things. Number 1, I'm going to give you I'm going to give you this. I'll give you my book here. So 4 things. I'm going to give you this book, How to Meet Your Dream Girl Tonight. In this book, it's going to overcome your approach anxiety. You're going to get real inner work shit, actionable things you can do, behavioral, actionable things you can do to overcome approach anxiety once and for all. And then I'm going to give you an entire chapter of nothing but openers to use. So you can test out. So that's the second thing. You're going to know exactly what to say to start a conversation in any situation. It's all here in this book. I'm going to give it to you for free. On top of that, I'm going to give you the script that I used to get 9 dates in 5 days online dating.
Stop.
So you message me, Blake. You message me on Facebook or Instagram. You're going to have exactly word for word what to say from start to finish. The exact script I use. They got me 9 dates in 5 days with my system. On top of that, the fourth I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a link to talk with someone on my team. Not a sales call. Keep your wallet in your pants. I promise you will not be pitching anything. Okay, this is not a sales call. I want to earn your trust first. And again, I'm not that altruistic. This is still a business.
Right.
I'm doing this I'm on a record. This is for money.
This ain't a charity. Yeah.
But I'm playing the long game. I'm playing the game of let me impress you and wow you and show you I'm the real deal so that now you'll want to, do more with me. Right. But if you DM me, that you saw me on, Blake's podcast here, I'll set you up with a call with one of the advisors on my team. Every one of them are students of mine who've gotten their own success, and they will get to know your situation because let's face it, everybody's different. You're not Steve, and Steve's not Sam, and Sam's not Pete, and they're going to come up with whatever custom game plan and training that we have that they think is best for you, and they're going to send it your way. And again, all of this is just to build the best currency ever, and that is trust.
Wow. Love it. Everybody go follow Jared Psych Laurence on Instagram, Facebook. Join the community if you see such. Sure. And also follow him on YouTube. I love the content there, man. I was just telling you beforehand.
We're gonna do a harder now. We're gonna do more long form. We're gonna get more. We're gonna.
You've got your own short. Yeah, you've got shorts on there, but the long form is great if you're driving or if you're working out. You're on the bike, the elliptical. Whatever, bro. Turn off the other podcast. Put this on for a little bit. Just check you out. So everybody go follow Jared Laurence. Everybody go follow everything that Modern Success is doing. Y'all can follow me since you're on the interwebs. Money Blake, whether Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. You can follow the podcast, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are. That's where the show is. I want to thank everybody for tuning into this episode. Hopefully you got some great things out of it. And whether you're tuning in morning, evening, afternoon, whatever time it is, I do appreciate you. And until the next time, we will see you. Peace.